Hello, Glenpool. Welcome to our newest edition of Conversations with the City. Today we have Bobby Schultz, who is the Executive Director of the Metropolitan Environmental Trust, or the M.e.t, as we hear it, or as you see it on our websites a lot of times. So glad to have him with us. Let's get going today. Bobby, welcome. Glad you joined us.
Glad I could be here.
So not everybody is familiar with the M.e.t and what you guys do. So tell us a little bit about the M.e.t and what items you take at your collection centers.
Okay. The M.e.t was set up in direct response to the lack of permitted landfill space. In short, there was a concern that if we didn't start diverting things into recycling, that our landfills would be full very quickly. So we set up recycling depot centers throughout the Tulsa metro area, including Glenpool. And the things that we collect there, now we collect a lot of things that curbside recycling will not take. Curbside recycling, generally speaking, glass, bottles and jars, aluminum cans, steel cans, paper, cardboard, that's about it. But at our M.e.t centers, we collect plastic bottles, aluminum cans, we collect milk cartons, detergent bottles, which are like number 2 plastics, glass bottles, newspaper, office paper, phone books, magazines, batteries, both household and automotive batteries, eyeglasses, steel cans, cooking oil, electronic waste, and motor oil. So a lot of things that you just can't put into curbside recycling. We even collect Walmart bags, and you'd be surprised. Well, maybe you wouldn't be surprised at how many Walmart bags. Yeah. We collect all of those things, and there's no cost for people to drop those off at our centers.
Very nice. So, we, as a recycling center, and Glenpool has curbside recycling as part of our normal trash service here as well. But why is it so important to make sure that we're not only for the things that we can put into our regular curbside pieces, and our residents do an amazing job of getting that trash and that recyclable processes into that, but why is it important to make sure we're taking care of this other stuff as well?
Well, there are a number of reasons. We want to keep things out of landfills. We want to keep things from blowing down the highway. We know that that's a problem. But if you recycle these items, it's much less expensive, takes less resources, it provides jobs for people, and so it's just a benefit to everyone all the way around. It's just a whole lot easier to take those things, recycle them, and reuse them again.
Glenpool has a recycling center here in town. And if I remember right, from my time serving on the board a number of years ago, different centers, not all the centers accept everything, or didn't used to. Is that still the case?
That's still the case.
Okay, so what are the things that we collect specifically here in Glenpool?
Okay, here at Glenpool, we collect bags, the plastic bottles, aluminum cans, steel cans. We basically collect everything from the list before except cardboard. We don't collect cardboard here. That can go directly just right into the curbside recycling. But the batteries are a big deal. Those, we definitely don't want those going into the curbside recycling, because I think everybody can recall the big fire that there was at the transfer station downtown, $8 million in damage, and that was because a lithium battery got in there by accident, got on a conveyor belt, made contact, heated up, and burned the whole thing to the ground. We can take those batteries. The e-waste, we collect e-waste. We don't do that at all of our locations. Glenpool is one of the few that we collect electronic waste. And so we can take anything that's basically plugged into a wall, alarm clocks, stereos, computers. We don't take anything with Freon, but we can take microwaves. We can take computer monitors and televisions. Now there is a small fee for the monitors and televisions because we're charged a fee by our vendor for that, and we just kind of pass it through. But we collect a lot of the motor oil, the cooking oil, all of that we collect right here at our Glenpool location.
So we're pretty much a full service center.
Oh yes, yes.
Which is great. So hopefully people are taking advantage of that. I know we've had, based on what I'm hearing from the trustees, we have a trustee here locally. That sits on that. Jesse Hell, who is our Public Works Director, is our brand new trustee to the board. And then our previous one, Gerald Gilbert, who is our Planning Director, have both said that we're still getting good use out of this site. And so I'm excited for our population to be using that. Thankful that they are. And it is important to make sure that we do that. Because as you talked about, there's not just the benefits to the environment,
Right.
but you're providing jobs.
That's right.
As part of this.
That's exactly right.
Can you just give me real quickly, tell me about roughly how many jobs and what types of jobs those might be and who we're employing?
Okay. We at all of our centers, we have about 11 centers and a bailing center. We employ adults with developmental disabilities.
Yeah.
It fluctuates between 70 and 85, most of them no lower than 70 at all those locations. So these are people that some are high functioning, some are nonverbal, but they're there learning vocational through vocational training. They're there with a job coach, and so they're learning how to work with clients that will pull through, because basically what you do is you pull your car up, you bring your recyclables, they'll take those, they'll sort them, put them into bins, and help us get it all ready to send over to the bailing center. So they're working here. Our hours are 9 to 1 from Monday through Saturday, and so they're getting some experience working with people, learning about being on time, being able to take breaks, learning all the things that everybody needs to work at, learn. And I think everybody needs to have a reason to get up in the morning and needs to have something at the end of the day to look back and see they've accomplished something. And so these jobs are very important for those people, and they do a really good job for us.
Yeah, and the M.e.t has been doing that for a long time now, and has been very successful in working with that population, with the groups and the nonprofits that work with them directly as well. And
yes.
So appreciate that work. As you said, I think everybody deserves an opportunity to have something to get up for, something that they enjoy doing,
yes.
and are productive at. And so glad we're able to do that and work with that community. Locally, outside of our curbside recycling here in Glenpool, and as well as our M.e.t site that we have here in town, and we probably need to mention that where it's at over by the school bus barn area.
Right.
And so if right off Warrior Road, if the public doesn't know where that's at, they need to make sure and just go drive by, see the site, so they can begin.
Right next to the baseball field.
Right next to the baseball field there, the practice field. So
yes.
Hopefully they'll go take a chance to go check that out if they haven't yet. But one of the other things that we do annually is what we call our community cleanup day. Right? So we bring out, the city has dumpsters and other things inside that people can bring things to. And that's set this year for April 22nd. So coming up just this next month for us. But with that, there are certain things we don't accept because we don't want it going into the landfills. We don't want to be a part of that. So those types of items, the tires, the medicines, the paint, those types of things that we don't accept, how can they get rid of that? How can people begin to get rid of those items?
That's a good question, and I think it's an excellent service that the city provides with those dumpsters, because otherwise people wouldn't know what to do with those things. So hats off to the city for funding that. As far as hazardous materials, Tulsa, the city of Tulsa has a household pollutant collection facility. We just call it the HHP. And so Tulsa residents can take their paints and chemicals and things over there at no cost. Outside of Tulsa, if you're not a Tulsan, live in the city limits, there's a fee. But because Glenpool is part of the M.e.t, citizens of Glenpool can call in for a voucher number. They can call us at the M.e.t, get a voucher number, and they can take up to 40 pounds of materials over there and no charge.
Great.
So it works out real well. So if you have lawn chemicals, pool chemicals, paint, household cleaners, all that sort of thing, you can take it over there, but call us first so we can give you the number and it won't cost you anything. Now, with that said, a little trick on paint, you really ought to just pop the lid and let that stuff dry out and throw it into the trash once it's dry, once it's solid, and not waste your time or the city's money for a voucher on that. As far as tires and medical sharps and ammunition and all, we hold several big collection events throughout the year, and we have them coming up. We have nearby in Bixby on April 15th, we'll have one, in Claremore on the 22nd, and in Broken Arrow on the 29th. Now, we're talking with our new trustee from Glenpool, Jesse, about doing one in the fall. We don't have a date set, but we'll certainly let everyone know so they'll know where to come and drop off those type things. We also have one of the things that we do as as a service has put together a little recycling directory.
Yeah.
And this has all the hard to recycle things that you can think of are listed in here on where you can take them, from books and shingles to asphalt. I won't say asphalt, asbestos,
Yeah.
not asphalt, asbestos. Propane tanks, all those type things we have listed in there. And so we left some here for the chamber to pass out, and if anybody wants one, they can contact us and we'll just mail them one of those directly too, and that'll help a little bit.
Perfect. And all of this is information about how to get a hold of you and the events that you, all that's on your website.
Right,
correct?
right.
And then do you have social media pages as well?
We do. We have Facebook and send things out on Twitter, and yeah, we're dragging ourselves into the 20th century, not the 21st or 22nd, but you know, we're getting there.
We're kind of the same way sometimes. Yeah. So you talked a little bit about some of these other programs that you do in some other places. You've also got some just some annual ones that you do regularly at the fairgrounds and those types of places. Is that right?
Right.
So tell us a little bit about some of those programs as well.
We call it the Big Spring Clean at the Tulsa Fairgrounds, and that's a free event as well. But at that event, we collected tires. We just had that event. We just collected over 1,900 tires, 5 96-gallon containers of medical sharps, about 300 pounds of medicine, 100 pounds of ammunition, over 71,000 pounds of electronic waste, and 34,000 pounds of paper that we shredded for people, which seems to be a good service for folks, and that's good. And then we collect, we have some kind of specialty things too, where we collect fire extinguishers, smoke alarms. A lot of people don't realize that smoke alarms have a radioactive isotope in them, and if they get crushed in the regular trash service, then that can leak out. So we collect those at those type of events too.
Great. So that's a lot of trash, a lot of recyclables.
It is.
So big events. I mean, these are
big events.
Pretty massive and places for people to volunteer and be involved in.
Absolutely.
So great. I know that wasn't necessarily a piece of our original conversation, but how can people get involved with what you do?
Well, that's pretty simple. We have a nonprofit called Friends of the M.e.t, and they kind of help us coordinate. They help raise money for us, but they help coordinate volunteers for us too. But by going to our website, which is real simple, metrecycle.com, you can connect on the Friends page and see about volunteer opportunities too.
Perfect. And we'll make sure we include that when we send all this information out. We'll have copies of the website and a link in there for people to go. Really, before I get to kind of my last question on the list, anything else that we haven't covered yet that we want to make sure that gets out there about the work that you guys do?
Well, sure. We have some other things that we do too. We have a bin loan program. So if churches and schools and clubs and organizations are going to have an event and they want to do recycling, we have some bins that we can loan them to collect those things. So they can either take the cans and bottles and things to our center, or they can go try to sell them somewhere. Right. But that's a free service. We sponsor litter cleanups. We can provide bags and gloves and vests and things for people to use if there are any clubs or groups that want to do that. We have an Enviro Expo on the 19th of April. That'll be downtown at Guthrie Green, a free event where you can test drive electric cars, and you can meet with, we have booths of all sorts of environmental organizations around there, and live music, and it's across from the Bob Dylan and Woody Guthrie Center, so you can go see that while you're downtown. We have a Go Green Night with the Tulsa Drillers on the 20th, Thursday the 20th, so come out and get your green ball cap and show the show. We do the recycling directory, the collection events, and we just anytime a group would like us to come out and talk to them about recycling, we do that. We do education in classrooms, so whole gamut of things.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I know being from kind of the Tulsa area, you may not know a ton about Glenpool and who we are, but one of the questions we always ask everybody that we sit down with is what do you know about us, or what do you think is happening here? Or maybe phrase it this way: what is something that you like about Glenpool, or about being able to work with us here locally?
Well, I'll tell you this: my great-grandparents lived in Glenpool. My grandmother was born in Glenpool.
Great.
We've spent lots of times here. I used to work for the Boy Scouts, and I covered the Glenpool Sapulpa, Sand Springs area. So I have some experience here. I have some experience here.
We'll adopt you as a Glenpool. That's all right.
I appreciate that. I also have relatives who have taught here, so that's a good thing. What I like about Glenpool is everybody's friendly. They're open. I haven't met anybody who's even had a scowl on their face any time that I've been here. So we enjoy coming to Glenpool. We shop and eat and spend our money here. So yeah, you can claim us.
We'll do that. We appreciate it. Bobby, thanks for coming by today.
Thank you.
Great pieces that you guys do, and so thank you for the work that you do at the Met. I know I've enjoyed being a part of it in the past when I was able to serve on the board and as part of the Friends board, and I know I'm excited about getting Jesse involved in the work that he's going to do there for Glenpool and for the Met.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to visit with you.
Absolutely. Glenpool, thanks for joining us for another Conversations with the City. We will see you next month.